Afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all okay. So, welcome to our affiliates and paid search webinar. We'll just do some quick intros first of all. So, I'm Claudia. I'm an affiliate manager here at Modo25, and alongside me, I've got Tom. Tom, let's give a quick intro to himself.
Yes, you've probably seen me on a few of these before, but I'm Tom, head of PPC, so I look after paid search, affiliates, and programmatic here at Modo25.
Thanks, Tom. So we've got a few things that we kind of want to run through today, and then obviously we'll have time for questions at the end. But I think the main kind of takeaways that we want to get from this session is kind of making sure that you're looking at the affiliates and paid search channels and kind of all of your marketing channels together, and not just looking at or focusing on one channel and kind of not looking at how that sits in the journey with the other channels. I think it can be quite easy kind of if your role is just kind of based around one channel. So say if you're just based around affiliates to kind of just focus on that and not think about how that's actually having an impact on other journeys through other channels. And so I've got a few little pointers in terms of topics that we'll go through, a few slides that we'll go through, but then we'll share a deck after as well with a bit more info and a bit more kind of going into a bit more detail into what we've discussed today.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we'll use this as like a bit of a organic chat as well between Claudia and myself. But if you have any questions, feel free to just send them as we talk. I guess it's going to be a bit more, discussion based this rather than lots of regimented slides.
Um, I think one of the first things that we wanted to touch on was kind of PPC and affiliate interaction. So looking at how the two channels can actually interact with each other within a customer journey. So something that we do a lot at Modo25 is looking at kind of where exactly each channel fits in the journey, and then kind of what actions we can take off the back of that. So we've done quite a lot of analysis of different clients, and we found that PPC and affiliates are the two channels that kind of tend to interact the most within a journey and have the most prominence in the most customer journeys. So one thing that we found a lot of the time is sometimes like PPC will be kind of starting the customer journey. Obviously, if you are running a successful PPC campaign, that's something that you should be seeing. Obviously, your brand coming up kind of whenever people are searching competitors or your products. But then people actually go into affiliates to convert. So perhaps they're then going to look for a discount code or look for cashback, which I know is kind of something that a lot of people see with affiliates is kind of are they just goal hangers and taking the traffic at the end of the journey and then claiming credit for that sale. So something that we kind of look at if we see a lot of kind of PPC volume at the start, but kind of affiliates are then taking that revenue is kind of reviewing exactly what search terms people are coming through, looking at kind of how we can turn the needle more with the PPC. So maybe letting affiliates bid on certain terms if people need a voucher code to convert, or look at kind of can we push more products through a CSS campaign. I don't know, Tom, if there's anything that you wanted to add. So I know for PPC it can be quite annoying if affiliates are then just swooping in at the end and getting quite a lot of the credit for the sale.
Yeah, I think especially with GA4 and how that's changed measurement. I know a lot of people we speak to are using GA4 as their sort of main source of truth. Um, that has changed a little bit with like DDA and sort of the mix of how affiliates looks in GA4 and how PPC looks, and maybe it's tipped the balance slightly back the other way towards PPC and sort of journey starters. Um, but I think as we'll go into in this as well, it doesn't mean that affiliates can't be a journey starter. And actually, I think in my opinion, that's probably where its strengths lie these days. I think when we've had discussions with our clients here, people are a lot more sort of clued up on affiliates than they used to be. I think like voucher codes, end of journey stealing, everyone's aware of that these days. And I think people are looking for ways affiliates can help alongside that. So yeah, I think we'll cover it a bit more as we go on, but there's a lot more interaction between the two channels than maybe there was, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. And we also see as well, kind of a lot of affiliates starting a journey, but then perhaps not like completing that journey. So, for instance, if you're running kind of content through affiliates, that a lot of the time can be more awareness and people might click through but not be in the market to purchase that particular product at that time, but then come through another channel. So, when we're looking at content pieces, we kind of, one thing that we kind of make sure that our clients are aware of, obviously it's not going to be like an instant revenue driver for the channel, but looking at kind of, has there been any increases anywhere else along the funnel, or kind of if that content is evergreen, looking at it kind of not just, week on week, but looking at it, how it's performed kind of over the course of a couple of months or even a year. It's obviously not all, it won't convert straight away sometimes.
Yeah, I think some of the big talking points in the past have always been how do SEO and paid search work together. And I think that's now also coming towards the affiliates conversation as well, which is with content, what keywords are being used, what keywords are used on search, what keywords are used in SEO, things like that. There's more of that conversation coming because it's focusing more on that customer journey and starting that rather than towards the end of the journey.
Yeah, definitely. Then something else that I wanted to talk about as well is comparison shopping services. So actually running CSS campaigns through affiliates. So I know for a lot of our clients, they kind of are sometimes a bit wary of running them through affiliates because obviously they'll be running their own CSS activity in-house and kind of aware of how exactly that will impact or affect kind of obviously their CPCs, like their own kind of cost of sales, and also their own like performance and traffic. With those campaigns, obviously they don't want two channels to be competing against each other for the same customers. But this is something I know, Tom, you said that you used to be quite cautious of as well, kind of being like a PPC from a like predominant PPC background. But I think now you've kind of changed your mind on that a bit, seeing how it's worked for some of our clients.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, yeah, you're always quite defensive of your own channel when you start out, I think. And sort of the idea of handing over the reins of how your shopping ads are shown and when they're shown to CSS through affiliates always felt a little bit daunting, I guess. And always, I wasn't sure what the incrementality of that would be. Are they just taking away traffic that we could have got ourselves? Are we potentially doubling up here? And I think through sort of we've tested this quite a lot because I was definitely a skeptic, and I think we found that that's not the case. There's no real overlap, and there is actually quite a good foundation for sort of incrementality. And there's also some quite cool tactics you can use with CSS providers as well. So yeah, I think if we're looking at products that maybe are very low margin, they're products that we can't, they aren't getting enough traffic with your current ROAS target on your existing shopping or PMAX campaigns, then this is the perfect opportunity to sort of try out a CSS provider, and you can give them a whole bunch of products from your feed and just say, here's your CPA target. Can you do anything with these? Because it's automatically going to be a free win. If you turn that on and they just start selling even some of those products, 25% of those products, that's more than you were getting before. You've expanded your reach, and the chances are your competitors are probably using a CSS affiliate as well. So where you maybe had, 30, 40, 50% of your product feed showing on PMAX or shopping, you're now increasing that up 60, 70, 80%. And in the old days of PPC, it was unheard of that you would have visibility on your entire feed. You might have a select group of products that are really effective, but it wouldn't be all of them. So this helps grow that. So is really complementary to your paid search activity rather than an enemy of paid search.
Yeah, and this here we've just got a bit of an example as well in terms of how exactly CSS campaigns look compared to your own activity. So you can see obviously the ones, hopefully it's coming through on everyone's computer, but the ones that I've underlined, so like by Calcu and the by comparison, those obviously are being run through affiliates through a CSS campaign. So the way this works is as well, you just obviously set them up on a slightly increased commission, just obviously so that they can fund the bidding. And then, but the really great way of that is kind of you can almost kind of, you know exactly already what you're going to be paying out for that sale. Whereas with PPC, you're paying out for the click, but you don't know how, if that person will convert. So you can obviously make it as kind of cost effective as you need to through affiliates as well.
The only other thing I'd say on this as well is you can also show like a by someone else, a by Kelku, by Productcaster, for example, if you move your own feed onto a CSS, so not to be confused with affiliate CSS, which would also look the same as Claudia said, but they are slightly different. One is continue to use your own ads, your own feed, whereas the other is run through affiliates on a CPA basis. So there is two parts of CSS, I guess, and we get the question a lot, what's the difference between using a CSS platform on our own ads versus running CSS through affiliates? And yeah, they are slightly different in terms of what they do and how they work. I think the main thing to focus on the affiliate side is setting a CPA target. And Claudia, I guess it's probably worth having a bit of a talk about, how would you go about setting like a CPA target for a CSS partner, for example?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, each kind of different sector has its own kind of different benchmarking. So obviously kind of retail is extremely competitive. So kind of we've got clients in kind of the retail sector that kind of need to be on minimum 15% for successful campaigns. So that kind of obviously does sound extremely high. And if kind of your base commission is at, say, like 5%, that is obviously a huge increase. But I mean, you could always trial it a bit lower and see how that works. But kind of to be optimal, it does need to be higher. But the CSS partners, a lot of the time will provide you with kind of benchmarking. So what other retailers are providing, they'll also be able to provide you some case studies as well. So just so kind of you can get a view in terms of what what your potential increase could be, and then you can work out whether that is something obviously that you could afford to do in terms of the commission cost.
Yeah, I think it's the good thing about this compared to your sort of standard shopping campaigns is you can set your own target. So where you're setting a CPA, there's no real chance of losing out because hopefully you're setting it at a level where it's still profitable for you. Whereas on, PPC can be variable on a day-to-day basis. Your ROAS might be higher, lower. You're setting a fixed target. So if you know what your margins are on the products that you're going to sell through CSS, there's no real chance to lose out. It's fixed, so it's a lot less risky.
Yeah, definitely. There's something else as well that we just wanted to touch on was brand bidding. So this would be kind of allowing affiliates to bid on certain terms that you allow them to, or actually can be unauthorized brand bidding sometimes. So these two examples here, so when searching Adidas discount code, so the two sponsored paid links that come up on my voucher codes and vouchercodes.co.uk. So this again is another way that kind of affiliates and PPC can kind of overlap and both work together and also compete. So if this is kind of unauthorizing or not actually allowing these partners to be bidding, that is obviously taken away from not only PPC traffic but also direct traffic. So one thing that we kind of recommend to clients is obviously manually checking in the first instance kind of each day if any affiliates are bidding on terms that they shouldn't be, or kind of utilizing a brand bidding tool. So there's loads out there. There's quite a few that we use as well with our clients, just to ensure obviously that kind of there's a lot of brand protection going on as well, because you don't want somebody kind of searching and then just for your brand like a discount code and then having kind of loads of different sponsored links and then having kind of the direct link right at the bottom, and kind of the affiliates cannibalizing that traffic and obviously then getting commission on those sales that can obviously increase the cost. So definitely making sure that you're kind of manually checking, and then if you're seeing quite a lot of alerts, and actually kind of then utilizing an affiliate brand bidding monitoring tool. It can be beneficial as well to actually allow brand affiliates to bid on your terms. So a lot of the time, if you're investing quite a lot with a voucher partner and it's kind of doing really well for you, then it can actually be beneficial to provide them with PPC rights for a certain amount of time each month and actually receive free of charge exposure in exchange for this. But obviously then you need to be monitoring even more to make sure that no other affiliates are kind of bidding as well as them, and taking away traffic from them.
I guess, would you say there's an element of control here if you've got certain affiliates that you work with? Because people are always going to search a brand plus voucher code, right? So you've got a couple of options. You either, as you know, a few brands will put a voucher code on their own website and have a voucher code landing page. But then the other option is doing something like this, which is allowing sort of brand bidding on discount code, voucher code, etc. And then you're controlling where those customers are coming through their sites that are measurable through affiliates or GA4, rather than you can end up with, I guess, ones that we haven't asked to appear there. And I guess it's maybe worth touching on which tools do we recommend, Claudia, in terms of like the ones we use here, because I'm sure people would be interested to know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the main one that we use is Brand Verity. There's also a free tool that Awin offer as well, which is called Ad Police. But there you'd receive like a weekly report, kind of detailing brand bidding. But it is extremely beneficial if you are seeing a lot of alerts, because something as well that you need to be aware of is kind of ad hijacking, where affiliates can be really cheeky and actually make a link look like it's going to your website, kind of mimic, kind of your own copy, and it then actually go through to their site or a completely different site. We've seen a few examples where it would go through to Amazon. So obviously that then is just a disruption in the customer journey as well. If they think they're going to your site and they end up on Amazon, they then got to go back onto kind of Google. They might not even then end up, they might just kind of give up the journey then. So, you really need to be kind of on it and make sure that if you have given any affiliates bidding rights, that it's just those that are bidding, and if you haven't given any affiliates bidding rights, that actually nobody is bidding, because the last thing you want is kind of traffic going elsewhere and you paying out commission on that, as well, because that obviously increased your costs.
And in terms of making sure affiliates are bidding on the right keywords, I guess what would be a good approach to doing that and making sure, like, are there certain keywords that we do recommend, don't recommend, that they're allowed to bid on, and how do we make sure that they don't use like pure brand terms and then claim commission on that as well?
Yeah, so we tend to recommend just kind of generic voucher terms, so like brand and then plus discount code plus voucher code plus discounts plus voucher, and then kind of send them. Obviously, we'd get a sign off from the client as well in terms of which terms they want to bidding on, because obviously they're aware of kind of their whole PPC strategy if we're not running PPC for them as well. Share that with the brand, and then through kind of the brand bidding tools as well, you can see sometimes which search term has returned certain results, and that way then is where you can kind of monitor if they're actually bidding on terms that they should be, or if they're not, and then obviously kind of reach out to them, flag that with them. If you're kind of seeing a lot of unauthorized brand bidding as well, something that I forgot to mention, from partners that you've not approved, that you've not said that they could do that, we tend to see clients operate kind of like a 3-strike rule as well. So kind of give them like 2 or 3 warnings and then say, if you're found to brand bidding again, we'll have to suspend you from the program. We tend to see that kind of works quite well and is quite effective, just so they kind of see that you're serious. Otherwise, they've kind of got no incentive to kind of stop bidding. You can also, have it quite clearly in your terms and conditions that no affiliates that run unauthorized brand bidding will receive kind of commission, that you can kind of try and track to the days that they were kind of flagged to be brand bidding. That's also another way around making sure that your costs aren't kind of hugely impacted by kind of this unauthorized activity.
Right, sounds good.
Then something else that we just wanted to touch on as well was PPC and affiliate targeting and testing and targeting, sorry. So on this, kind of our rationale was kind of how can we, look at kind of where the affiliate customers are, and can we actually target them through other channels after their first purchase. Obviously, with affiliates, you are paying commission, every time the customer makes a sale. I know a lot of brands do have kind of new versus existing customer rates, but is another way that we're kind of trying to reduce costs through through the affiliate channel by using other channels. So obviously something that we would try and do this is kind of gather data on kind of where the customer types that are shopping through the affiliate channel, look at which channels are starting their journey, and then actually try and utilize those channels to convert their journey as well, so that we're not obviously paying out kind of to try and avoid paying out kind of PPC clicks, and then if somebody clicks on a paid social ad and then they actually convert through affiliates, that's then kind of three areas that we're actually paying for a customer. Obviously, I find a lot of brands do validate based on Google Analytics data, but something that we kind of want to avoid is look at, again, a full funnel, look at exactly where customers are in the journey, and look at utilizing all the channels to try and convert a customer rather than have them go through all the channels and obviously increase costs further.
I think we've just got a question based on the last couple of sections. So it was asking about sort of brand bidding and shopping and CSS. So I think at the start we covered a little bit on CSS and how that works. I'm not sure if you missed the initial part of the conversation, but essentially our conclusion was that there's much less overlap on the CSS side of things. The incrementality is much, much higher on CSS, and it would be something like keyword-based bidding. So our recommendation at the moment is the CSS partners are absolutely worth working with on affiliates, and just trialing that on a small basis if you want to, with products that you can't sell through your own shopping campaigns. See how that goes. If it works successfully, then sort of build up, try more, see how that goes. But they don't steal from each other, if that makes sense. So there's no loss of your own shopping campaigns if you're working with a CSS affiliate. So there's limited risk if you're paying on that CPA basis, like we said. So yeah, just to go back to that CSS point, 100%, we think that's worth doing at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Hope that answered your question, Maria. Yep.
Cool. Just going back to this section as well. We did some really interesting research on I guess how people who come through affiliates behave differently to people that come through other channels, and they actually perform very similarly to new customers you get through sale periods as well. So if you work for a brand or with a brand that has sort of very defined sales periods, and you have customers that just come back for those sales periods, affiliate customers can behave in a similar way if they've come through something like a Quidco, a Top Cashback, something like that. They do behave differently to the sort of customers you've got organically through to the site, or maybe come through affiliate content material as well. So it's worth seeing how, and I guess you want to proportion. This isn't really just about PPC, this section. This can be anything you can retarget on. So what you might want to do is, if you've got new customers coming through and they did come through on like a voucher code, or they did come through a Top Cashback or something like that, maybe making sure that you've got them in a separate emailing list, so you're paying for them next time to come through email rather than coming through another affiliate voucher code and you're paying again and again. And you can also sort of weight your commission structure around that as well. So new customers versus returning, to make sure that you're not overpaying for a returning customer as well.
Yeah, definitely. Something that kind of pretty much all of our clients have is like new versus existing customer commission group set up as well. So kind of normally we tend to see kind of +2% for new customers versus existing. So definitely something to look at if you haven't already got that set up on your affiliate program.
Yeah, and a lot of brands we work with try to nurture customers from, just because you get a lot of new customers during sales periods, and then it's trying to nurture customers out of just shopping during sales and into full price customers, and that can be quite difficult. But you should follow a similar nurturing process for anyone that's come through, a voucher, a top cashback as well, and try and turn them from, just a sales to sort of a regular converting customer.
Then we just wanted to quickly touch on a couple of customer journeys. So just an example of like bad user journeys in terms of kind of like what we mentioned before, kind of paying out on quite a few touch points, and then kind of what a good customer journey or user journey would look like. So seems like a bad user journey here. So if a customer was to see a TV ad, then see an out of home ad, then visit site organically, but then search for discount code and then click on an affiliate PPC ad and then convert. So not only have they got a discount code, but you're also paying out commission on the affiliate who's doing brand bidding, whether that's been authorized or not. And the customer did actually visit the site organically, but then there would have been no kind of direct cost, obviously the cost of the advertising that they've seen. But the way that they've come through is obviously searching for that discount code, so needing a discount code to convert, then clicking on a paid ad, so you're paying, your margin could be quite affected by that. So I think this is where kind of affiliates just get a bad rap in terms of kind of swooping in at the end of the journey to get that customer, but something that obviously a lot of clients are trying to do at the moment is look at kind of how incremental our voucher sites and is the affiliate channel. So something that we do a lot is kind of we actually run activity on voucher sites and cashback sites, so like a newsletter or homepage exposure. So it's not just we're not just getting customers who are just going and searching for a certain voucher code, but we're actually kind of reaching out directly to the customer. So in like newsletters, which are normally quite an engaged audience with voucher sites and cashback sites, so that's something that we do quite a lot with brands, and then kind of get specific stats from those partners as well in terms of kind of how many the open rate of the newsletter, how many people clicked through, because obviously that's that kind of granular data you can't see in GA4. But again, this is just kind of all kind of things that we're doing to kind of show the incremental value of the affiliate channel.
Yeah, I guess when we say bad user journey, what we're talking about here is like when we've looked at it, low incremental user journey. So there are going to be cases where, a customer's shopping around, they're looking at various sites. If you sell a product that is available on multiple other retailers, they might be looking around for the lowest price, and your voucher code, your top cashback might be the thing that pushes you over the edge into getting the sale. Rather than a competitor, in which case this wouldn't be such a bad user journey. But if you look at it on like a large scale basis, we tend to find that these types of journeys are much less incremental than we'd ideally want. So we try and reduce this as much as possible. And actually, maybe you just want to use things like this when you've got key sales. So if you've got a key sale on and you want to make sure as many people is aware as possible, then you're pushing it out through any affiliate partners that you've got. And then it makes sure that customers are aware that you've got better deals on the competitors, in which case something like this is still valuable, is still useful. But yeah, when we say bad, we mean low incremental, I guess.
Yeah. Then example of kind of a good, so more incremental journey. So a user would read affiliate content kind of in an article, then search for a brand and click on a CSS link, kind of see a paid social ad. So again, kind of reinforcing the brand to them, then return to start organically and then convert. So here kind of they've gone through quite a few different touch points, but then kind of potentially the paid social ad is what's going to tip them over the edge, and then they've kind of then returned to start organically. So what we want to do as well and making sure with the channels is that we are kind of reaching customers at all the different touch points. So making sure that you are very aware of kind of where your customer is. So if you're running paid social campaigns, making sure that you're aware exactly, are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? And making sure that you're like funneling your budget into the channels that they're on, rather than having, we'll put the same amount into all three platforms. And then with kind of, if you're wanting to look at affiliate content, making sure again that kind of you're getting those readership stats from the affiliate content site, getting that demographic information from them and matching it up with your own internal database and kind of the data that you've got, and making sure that you're then, putting out the affiliate content on the sites that are the most relevant.
And when we're talking about more upper funnel affiliates, Claudia, I guess what's in the toolkit apart from content? Sort of influencers, anything else that we can look at to sort of start user journeys alongside content?
Yeah, I mean, definitely influence and content as well. Something that we're seeing a lot of brands doing at the moment is brand to brand partnerships. So this could be, you see a lot of the time, I think kind of the Hook Group's kind of the biggest example of one that's doing this, kind of with Look Fantastic and MyProtein. When you're at the checkout, you then have options, kind of you can get, £5 grind voucher, or 65% off HelloFresh, things like that. We have done one with our clients as well, which has done really well, which is a meal subscription service. And so I think that again is more upper funnel. Obviously, you're kind of capturing somebody at this, when they might not even be kind of thinking about it, of purchasing, but obviously they see they can get this offer, they're checking out, they've not got to do anything apart from obviously check out, which they're already doing. So that is one that we are definitely seeing a lot more of, is kind of that kind of brand to brand partnerships and how brands can work together. Obviously, kind of in a commercial model, both kind of getting benefits out of it, but the brand that's been promoted kind of potentially getting quite a few new customers from that as well, who then potentially will be quite loyal.
Yeah, and I think there's a brand protection element to this as well. So I wouldn't look into this and just start like spamming content out as far as you can see, or working with every influencer under the sun. I think it's really good to look at, like Claudia said, the right types of content websites that are going to enhance your brand. So if you're shown, let's say you sell like things for kids, for example, you want to use a website like Mumsnet, which is really well respected within that sphere. And therefore that's going to maybe enhance your brand image. Or if you're working with an influencer and they're really knowledgeable, they know what they're talking about, they're not, they're good people. That's going to enhance your brand, because people will say, oh, look, they're talking about these products. They must be good products. They must be trustworthy, because this person that I already trust, or this website that I already trust is sort of pushing them. So it is worth looking out for, trustworthy influencers, trustworthy content sites, rather than just, as much content or as many influencers as you can find. That might work initially, but it's probably going to do more damage than good in the long term to your brand image.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely with like influence and content, it's quality over quantity. That's something that we're very clear of. There's quite a few kind of dodgy sub networks as well that kind of just push affiliate content out everywhere. So that's something that we're very kind of, we do clamp down on that a lot and make sure that kind of all the kind of content sites or sub networks that are promoting any of our clients are kind of reputable and do align with their brand.
And if, I guess, what's your process, Claudia, for checking if a sub network is good or not?
So firstly, it depends. So if we kind of get a new client and they've got a lot of sub networks on board that are driving quite a lot of revenue, even if they're not, even if they're just driving quite a lot of clicks, the first step would be reach out to them for a performance report. So that would be the case. If so, sometimes in the affiliate network you can see in the transaction report which URL is actually driving the revenue. That's not always the case. If that isn't the case, reach out to them for a performance report detailing exactly which publisher URL is driving sales. A lot of some networks should be able to provide that. If they can't provide that, then I don't see why a brand will be able to work with them, because you need to know exactly which sites are promoting your brand. Once you receive that, then kind of go through that, look at kind of all the sites they've sent across. If there are any that you're not happy with, ask them to remove them from being able to promote the brand, and then monitor and kind of make sure that you're in receipt of at least kind of monthly, if not weekly, reports from them. just to make sure that you know exactly, the last thing you want to do is like go to a client and say, oh, we've driven X amount of revenue this week and it's all come from, X publisher, and then they ask you, okay, what have they been doing, or where are we promoted, and then you don't know the answer. You need to make sure that you know exactly where your brand is being promoted, especially for kind of brand protection as well.
Right. So I think we've got just under 10 minutes left, and we've got a couple of questions. If anyone else has any questions, then please send them in. But I think, should we just take some of these? So one of them was, what channel would you recommend going live with first if you had a limited budget?
Yeah. So if it was out of affiliates and PPC, which it might be because of the webinar, I would say if you're limited budget, it would be PPC. With affiliates, there can be kind of onboarding cost of publishers. There's obviously paying the affiliate network. And if you have kind of limited budget, then I presume the brand has limited brand awareness. Therefore, kind of it can be quite hard to build affiliates from scratch with zero brand awareness and zero budget. Because obviously to build awareness, you need to do quite a bit more upper funnel activity, which can come at a bit of a higher cost. So kind of build the brand up first through kind of PPC, because obviously you can capture quite a lot of competitor traffic, hopefully through PPC, and then look at kind of implementing affiliates into that. Obviously, I would be quite wary of just setting up one channel on its own though, without having kind of all the channels live, because like we've said before, we need to make sure that we're touching customers at all the potential touch points that they are. Obviously, you're going to get a lot more out of a marketing channel if you're running, all the main channels rather than just one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, unfortunately to say it, I think unless you're an extremely high competition, low margin product, Google is usually the first port of call, because you can sort of control your budgets there. You can control your targets to an extent. It's going to be easier to get started and working towards a profit straight away. If you're working on a really tight budget and sort of profit is the goal, that's going to be the best way to do it. So yeah, I think PPC is probably the best place to start. We have another question that's just come in. So when you say affiliate CSS ads could be good for low margin products, and focus PPC shopping on higher margin products, how would this work from a feed perspective? Would you need two different feeds to limit the products that the affiliates can use? Do you want to say this one, Claudia, or shall I?
Yeah, I can take this one. For ease for the CSS partner, then I would say yes, just to ensure, like I would say yes to having two different feeds. So one feed for AWIN, one feed for your own campaigns. Obviously you can kind of put the same feed into AWIN as you've got for your own CSS campaigns, and obviously tell the partner just bid on these products, but for ease and to ensure there's kind of no crossover, if you only want to push a select group of products through affiliates versus your own campaigns, I definitely set up two different feeds, because obviously with the feeds they're updating constantly as well with kind of price changes. So we definitely have kind of two different products just to make sure there is no crossover if that's something you want to avoid.
Definitely. Yeah, and it doesn't always just have to be like low or high margin products as well. I think there's other examples we've seen it used at high competition areas. So if you're struggling to get it to work on Google Shopping, obviously there's lots of things you can do there. Look into your feed optimization, look into using a CSS partner on your own feed for your own ads. But alongside that is, if the competition is too high and you're struggling to get the results you want, try the same set of products again through a CSS partner and see if they can make it work, because they all will optimize in different ways, use different tactics to the ones maybe you've tried so far. So the low margin, high margins are always a good one, or products that aren't showing, what we might call zombie products, high competition products. There's loads of different things you can try, and we would recommend testing all of these. It's only going to expand your reach rather than limit it. So other questions, I think how much time we got? 4 minutes, so we might have time for one more question. So what other channels do you think have a strong link like PPC and affiliates?
Yeah. This is a couple. So a couple of kind of examples that spring to mind, like Tom mentioned SEO and affiliates. So making sure that any kind of affiliate content you've got on websites is actually benefiting your own SEO, and make sure that you've got links kind of, on high quality sites as well, that can all have kind of a positive impact. I think as well, organic social and paid social, kind of repurposing any organic content, any strong organic content that you've kind of been tagged in, repurposing that on paid social as well can be a good move across those two channels. I don't know if you've got any others that spring to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, there's always going to be some link between all the marketing activity that you do in terms of the ones that can really influence each other. Um, all of your like upper funnel activity. So if you're doing like we've talked about a lot of upper funnel affiliates activity here, if you're doing upper funnel activity like your programmatic, connected TV, digital out of home, all of that stuff is going to really benefit some of these channels. So like PPC is going to really benefit from that. Your organic's going to benefit, your direct will benefit, and even your affiliates will benefit. So yeah, maybe less about like do two channels work together well and just thinking about, at an overall level, what's the key messaging and making sure that you're using that throughout. So I think a big worry for a lot of people with affiliates is it going to cheapen my brand? Is it going to make it look like a discount brand and that kind of thing? And that doesn't have to be the case. Like we talked about getting the content right and with the right affiliates, you don't have to look, you can still look premium. So if you're running sort of premium up funnel, premium branding activity, then you can make your PPC ads look premium. You can make your affiliate activity look premium, make your paid social look premium. It's I guess more about having a consistent method of approach to all of your channels, I guess, rather than two specific channels being the best together. But yeah, saying that, there is a lot of overlap between PPC and affiliates, which was why we sort of wanted to have this discussion today, because I think the lines blur a lot with text ads, brand bidding, CSS, and we get asked about it all the time. So we thought it'd be worth doing.
Um,
Uh, final question was just,
yeah.
will the recording of this webinar be shared? Yes, we will share the recording, and we will also share some slides that sort of summarize what we've talked about today as well.
That's
Is that everything you wanted to go through?
Yeah, I think so. It's like Tom said, I mean, this is just a bit of a learning slide, but that's again included in the kind of slides that we'll share afterwards. But no, thank you everyone for joining. Hope you found it useful. Um, yeah, and hope we all have a good day, good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.